Hi everyone, Close the Santano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new Parannoul record, Sky 100. This is the fourth full-length album from the anonymous South Korean DIY musical project, multi-instrumentalist, producer, singer, songwriter, Parannoul, who has been having a very intense rise in fame in the underground music scene, in the online space as of late, due mostly to the viral success of several speedily released projects. There's 2021's To See the Next Part of the Dream, which was The Breakout. That very same year, there was also released a collaboration with fellow South Korean DIYer Asian Glow, as well as Brazil's Sonos Tomum Conta. Not too long after this was 2023's After the Magic, which was my personal fave. I thought one of the best records to drop that year. And just a year later, we are now getting Sky 100 over here. Parannoul's really keeping their foot on the neck of the online bedroom DIY scene, just like not letting up. Nobody can breathe, especially with the wide praise of this consistently released output. Now, out of the gate, I will say I have had my reservations about this project's music in the past. Some of the amateurish production has kind of held me back from being as into it as I know some are, though I do very much see the appeal. I get why it's taken on in the way that it has, especially since there is something so genuinely beautiful, righteous, stunning, and nostalgic about the project's approach to melody as well as song structures and builds. Plus, genre-wise, Parannoul is known for an eclectic mix of lo-fi bedroom pop and rock, post-rock, shoegaze, noise pop, post-hardcore. It's like every genre that has a super micro-niche, passionate fan base is coming together under the umbrella of one single music project that has its own micro-niche, super passionate fan base. Now, I wouldn't personally consider myself a part of that pool, even though I did stand impressed by After the Magic, like I said earlier. I mean, it was just hard to not like that project, given just how effective of a build it was on everything that made the previous Parannoul album so good. Plus, overall, this thing is such a pretty record. It's so texturally diverse, and again, the builds across these songs are very epic and moving. The amateur charm that originally made Parannoul so interesting wasn't entirely gone, but sonically, this project was definitely a graduation of sorts, which is why I'm kind of stunned at the approach that was taken here with this latest LP, Sky 100, which, like, side-by-side comparison with the sound quality between this record and its predecessor is just a very clear and massive step down. Pretty much the same genre fusion and series of influences are going into this project, nothing too new as far as, again, those touches of noise pop and post-hardcore and emo and post-rock and shoegaze, all of that, it's still here. The vocals haven't really changed up all that much. The approach to melody hasn't really changed up all that much. We still have a lot of epic progressions and builds across these song structures too. Again, at its core and functionally, it's pretty much everything that has made this project what it is so far. But rather than further embracing the lush sounds of After the Magic and maybe even improving a little bit from the strides that were made on this album, we are heading back very, very boldly into lo-fi territory, bringing tons of songs with lots of saturated distortion that is quite harsh. I will say it's not even a particularly great distortion texture or anything like that. It's just very brittle and digital and flat and lifeless and one-dimensional. And yeah, pretty much every track on this record to some degree is smothered in this distortion, and it just creates this profound lack of textural variation across the LP. Even if I know at the core of these tracks there are a lot of like great and different and quality melodies and vocal parts and keyboard parts, separating them all compositionally, sonically they all kind of like hit the same sorts of textures and distortion peaks, and it just makes for a very drab experience overall, and a lot of ear fatigue too, especially with this record being about an hour in length. And again, while I could see something this lo-fi making sense like earlier in the span fan of this project's lifetime, right now, after such a great and accomplished and beautiful and lush record as After the Magic, I just don't really see the appeal of going back in this direction, because all of the melodies, all of the harmony, all of the nuance, the layers, the beauty that is clearly being laced into these tracks on the compositional end are pretty much being destroyed and smothered by the distortion that all these tracks, the very horrid distortion that all these tracks are caked in, which again, very harsh, very blinding, very digital, like not even a pleasing aesthetically type of distortion. I feel like I'm just listening to something that's been bass boosted out of a laptop speaker. And yeah, even though I do think there are elements of this record that have their merits, it's all kind of for naught a little bit with the way it has very consciously been produced, which again, personally, I just don't really see the point of at this moment in the project's career, because it sort of prevents any kind of creative progression beyond what was done on After the Magic. In fact, it doesn't even allow the songs and compositions on this record to be anywhere near as good or as appealing as After the Magic, which again, for me, makes this album a pretty noticeable step down. Even if there are some, again, great tunes, melodies, structures, and performances to be had, which is why I am feeling a light to decent 6 on this record. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Parannoul, forever.